Hi, I'm Kate Fairley from Get Informed, a website which unlocks the secrets of insurance. So it's a pretty complicated and boring topic, I'm aware of that, but I'm here to translate some of my 5 years of knowledge into stuff that you can actually understand. One of the biggest questions I used to get asked as a broker was, why can I get this $200 cheaper online? Like, what's the difference in cover and why am I paying you so much more? What's it actually going to mean for me? And if I couldn't pinpoint at a particular example or scenario in those few minutes of having a conversation with somebody, they would often, not appreciate the true value of a broker, and they'd go direct and they'd save their $200, which was really heartbreaking because working in the industry, I deal with people at the other side who've had a claim and who've really received the benefit of having the additional coverage. So if, it was heartbreaking because what if that person is the 1% who has the worst case scenario happen to them and the direct insurance product they've chosen doesn't cover them? So today I want to walk you through a couple of these worst case scenarios and hopefully one of them resonates with you. But if not, at least you'll understand a little bit more about why some insurance products are cheaper than others. To start with, I'm going to give you an analogy just so you know where I stand on the whole cheaper insurance products issue. So when I started Get Informed, I didn't have any capital to start with, and I wanted to do it all myself. So I worked weeknights, and I'm still working weeknights and weekends to pay for it all, just so it can be unbiased and free for you guys. As part of that, I had to make a couple of sacrifices, and one of those was actually my footwear, my runners. I couldn't afford, when my old runners died, I couldn't afford to replace them with my usual $160 New Balance. I had to go to Kmart and buy the $25 cheaper pair, even though they weren't as good quality and they weren't going to give me my arch support or my stability control that the New Balance shoes would provide. I didn't have a choice because I was limited by the finances that I could put towards my footwear. So I don't have anything against Kmart. It's not their fault. They're not evil or horrible in any way because they provide a cheaper alternative. It's not, they're not money hungry people who are just trying to take advantage of anybody. They're providing a service which some people really do need. I needed cheap shoes and they were there for me. My point is that there are people out there in footwear shops, in shopping centres, telling you that you'd be better off buying the New Balance shoes. There's a balance there. So there's an awareness of the difference of different shoes. There's nobody out there telling you that you'd be better off with a broker aside from the brokers themselves. There's nobody out there on television or in the media or a print newspaper telling you about the benefits of using a licensed general insurance broker to get better coverage. So that's what I want to do today and just give you a little bit of insight so you know some of the differences between the Kmart and New Balance varieties of insurance. So one of the examples that I talked about a couple of weeks ago after the dog attacks was the exclusions which apply to the liability component of your household insurance. So when you take out household insurance, it covers your liability, which means that if someone trips on the stairs and falls over and sues you because the stairs were slippery or whatever, that's where your liability insurance comes in. Same as if suing somebody for slipping in a shopping centre, you have that coverage in your home as well. But then with cheaper products, they have a few exclusions in there. One of them is actually to do with alcohol and drugs. So if you've got a cheap product and you give Panadol to the neighbour's kid and they have a reaction and then they sue you, you might not be covered because that's excluded as a drug. Same with alcohol. You have a party and alcohol really wasn't a factor about them slipping out of the spa and knocking themselves unconscious, but alcohol was present, which means that you're not covered. The dog attacks exclusion was about family members. So normal products will exclude all family members who live with you, who normally live with you, or tenants, or people who normally live at your residence. Those are generally excluded, and that's standard. But there are some products who will blanket exclude all family members regardless of whether they live with you. So the poor kid who died in Deniliquin, that was the grandma looking after him, and I'm fairly certain it was the cousin's dog, so still a family member, and the insurance might not kick in for that family. Another one that I've talked about before is your liability cover for your actions outside the home. So there's an exclusion on recreational sporting activities, not just professional sporting activities. So, Leighton Hewitt with his tennis playing and stuff, if he injures somebody in the process, he would have to have cover because he's a professional sportsman. But if you're playing tennis at the local club with a mate and you have a cheaper product which has an exclusion on recreational sporting activities, then if you injure them in the process, they trip and fall or something, freak accidents happen. I usually use the golf example of hitting someone on the head with a golf ball. Or punching them out in a netball game by accident. They ran into my fist. Not covered because it's recreational, and it's just ridiculous that these things have even crept in. But nobody's talking about it. Nobody's getting on the current affair with these exclusions, even though they're happening. The golf example actually came from a real life situation which happened a few months back, maybe late last year. Went to court and. This poor guy had a freak accident and now had lost his house because he had to pay for the permanent care of the man he injured. I was talking to my mum about this whole issue a few days ago, and she brought up the Johnny Walker ad. Do you want the scotch you want to pay for, or do you want the scotch you want to drink? And that same applies to insurance. So there are cheaper alternatives and there are superior products, and the ones that you want to have cover, like the ones that will give you cover, are the ones that you buy with a broker. They don't, they might charge a little bit extra, but when you have a claim and you really want cover, the peace of mind is what counts. So head over to getinformedinsurance.com.au or just Google Get Informed and it'll be the first on the list. And find yourself a broker. The Find a Broker service is working really well now. We've got 47 brokers on board, ready to take your call and ready to help you. So that'll be really great, and I'll see you next week. Bye.